but I'm going to do it a little different because I can, because Stan gave it to me today. But I've been so impressed by what council does every morning. So we're going to start this morning with pledge allegiance to the flag and a small prayer.
I do that very good.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, we come to you this morning and ask that you bless this meeting, be with us as we deliberate the business of the county, and help us, Lord, to keep in mind your wishes and your aspirations for us as your people. Ask all these things, Lord, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
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 Thank you, Steve.
Okay, well, did you guys have a chance to read the minutes?
I did.
Yep, I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Pass. Tony?
Okay. And I forgot to print those off actually, so I just messaged Bree to print them and bring them down so you guys can sign them. Let's see what I have first. I have a bunch of goodies here. Let's go with payroll claims first, because that's what I have first on my thing. We have the payroll claims in the amount of $365,717.19.
I read through those. I didn't have any questions. I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been passed. Today's the, what,
25th.
25th?
It's the day that Stan catches a walleye.
Yeah, well, that might be tomorrow.
Okay. Next, we have the Allied weekly health insurance claims. And that's in the amount of $52,779.67. Of that, pharmacy is $50,028.16. And medical was $2,751.51 for a total of $52,779.67. Let me find a paper clip for this. It's already signed, so you guys just look at it. You good?
I'd make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Passed.
Okay.
Those pharmacy claims continue to boggle my mind, how much more the pharmacy expenses are than actual medical expenses.
This is just a permit that I scanned. Highway has one. Surveyor's gonna get one. We have one in the office. There's a copy for you. Okay. Bridge 27, right? Okay. Okay. Next, we have the Allied monthly health insurance claims. This is for the administrative fees and all the things that we do monthly. And the total on that is $70,100.48. And there is that.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Now we have utilities paid into Lao. And the total amount of that is $47,765.21. We had paid $36,811.89 into that, but then Sheriff Dan called over and we had an extra claim that we had to do for FirstNet.
Oh.
That was not in this originally, so it had to be entered separately, but the total amount that was paid in is $47,765.21 with the FirstNet invoice, or I guess it's invoice, that we got from the sheriff was $10,953.32. So that's why that looks a little different than normal. But I think if we approve the $47,765.21 of utilities paid into Lao, I think we're good.
I'll make that motion to approve $47,765.21 for prepaid utilities.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Passed.
All right, next we have accounts payable claims, and I believe you all were emailed those claims, had a chance to look those over. Those are in the amount of $368,934.56. That is the total on that, unless you have any further questions on it.
No questions. I'll make a motion to approve.
Again, no questions. I'll second that motion.
Okay.
So it's passed.
Okay. And then I believe the final thing that I have today is payroll AP claims, which, as you know, are the benefits and so forth attached to the payroll claims. And those are in the amount of $321,261.27, $421,261.27.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's passed. Is that all you got, Tony?
That is all I have.
Okay. County engineer. Oh, well, I guess it'd be Paul today.
Just be too impressed. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning. First thing, I passed out the tab sheets to you we're opening pickup truck bids this morning.
Think they actually still have the trucks?
I don't know. I think this is actually just an order, however
Okay.
long that may take. So we'll just do that first. And like usual, we'll look at the bids here and then take them under consideration and hopefully award next week if possible. Let's see what we got. Okay. This one is from Heidi Chrysler in Bluffton. See, for a 2023 or newer Dodge Ram, which would be what we've been getting here the last several years.
Which one's that?
What is it? It's Heidi's?
Heidi Motors, the Chrysler, Heidi Chrysler.
Okay.
Heidi Bluffton. Here. Of course, like I said, we'll take them into consideration, we'll go through the specs and make sure that everything meets specs. Their bid. Start doing, make sure I get the right number. Okay, looks like their bid for a 2023 Dodge Ram or newer is $57,500. $57,500. That's for the Dodge. Nice Chrysler.
Is that a half ton, 3/4?
Three-quarter ton. Be a three-quarter ton, and that's spec.
Four-wheel drive.
Four-wheel drive, and that's spec with the warning light, the strobe lights and all that.
Okay.
Already on it. Let's see what we got. Next one. Okay, this is Heidi Motors Chevrolet. And this is the last bid that I actually have here, so. We've all made notes of no guarantees of when stuff will show up and what have you. Of course, we knew that going into it, so. Okay, looks like Heidi GM they quoted a 2024, because no 2023s were available. New 3/4 ton, spec the same, warning lights and strobe lights and all that. Okay, their sale price was 56,761. 56,761. And then their note says minus the bid assist for a municipal for the 2023s, that was 4,700. But they don't know what it's gonna be for this year, so. How do you figure that, right?
I assume, would that come off then of either?
Yeah, I would assume that whatever they decide that the new year discount would be for municipal bid would be less off of that. So if they're assuming that it's gonna be the 4,700, that'd make GM's bid 52,061.
Do you think that bid assist was already off of the Chrysler bid, or you think that would come off the
I
Chrysler bid as
didn't
well?
say.
Regardless, the Chevy bid would be lower.
Right. Let me see if if there's anything in the fine print here, not fine print, but like. Yeah, it does not say. Well, it says the bid that the Chrysler's going to give is a base bid price, so I would kind of, I would say that there's no municipal discount figured into that price, so.
Yeah. Would that same, did you say that same 4,700 would come off the Chrysler bid as well?
No,
Or
it
not?
does not say on Chrysler that it would be
Just the
4,700, right, just GM notes that, so.
Okay.
I guess if you wanted to, you could clarify that for us.
Right, and I want to, like I said, I think for you guys to take, allow me to take it under advisement and go through and maybe clarify some of this and look at everything, make sure it meets what we had spec'd out.
I'll make that motion. We take those under advisement, look at them again next meeting.
Did you second that, Stan?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna take it under advisement. Is there anything else, Paul?
Yes, a couple other, down through my list. Buggy plates, just a reminder, they end May 15th. So far, we've sold 1,400 of them, so compared to last year, we're about halfway there, I think. Another thing, dust control at $290 per foot ends Friday, May the 12th. Be the last day we're accepting purchase of dust control this year. Our fuel tanks that you guys approved, well, quite a while ago, they pulled in yesterday and are actually they're laying stuff out yesterday and today, and hopefully they'll be started here.
I saw one of their passed one of their trucks heading south on 27. I was hoping they were heading your way.
Yep, they pulled in yesterday and started painting marks on the line, on the parking lot and stuff, so,
Good deal.
we're well on our way. Let's see, one other thing, this is kind of a big deal, because you know how we've had trouble with truck chassis and what have you. Last week, Stoops notified me that someone backed out of an orders, and there possibly could be a couple openings. They would honor the price from last year that we bid, that you guys approved, looks like November 22nd of 2022. They said they would honor that bid if we'd be interested in a couple more a chassis or two more. So I'm kind of going to leave that up to you on what, give me a direction or how you'd like to see it done. Last year's bid that they had said they would honor was $129,990.
What was that again, Paul?
Please, Paul.
$129,990. With them honoring that bid, I didn't know I think Brad talked to Mark if we needed to go back to getting bids or anything. I mean, they were the winning bid last year. I kind of assume that they're not going to be cheaper this year, but.
If it's the same, if they're holding the bid, we can buy another one.
And we have the money in the budget. It's going to take things and some things that we had hoped for this year and push them back. But with the emission stuff that we had talked to you gentlemen earlier on, I don't think we can go wrong ordering that.
This is for,
For Dump truck chassis.
Dump truck, yes.
Yeah, for a tandem axle dump truck chassis.
That'd be a 23 or 24. do you-
That would be delivered. Write it down here somewhere. That'd be built in 23 and delivered in 24. So it'd be built the last quarter of this year and probably would not be delivered until the first quarter of next year. And that would be just the chassis. That's not getting the accessorized with the dump beds and what have you. That's just getting the chassis.
Do we already have one order in with them?
We do. We have one that we awarded to them back in November is supposedly going to be built or coming down the line here next month.
Okay.
So that would be, if we went with one or two more, that'd either make our third or fourth chassis. I think Brad told you we did get our new one in that we'd ordered a year ago. We finally got that one.
What company?
Stoops.
Would we routinely have ordered for delivery next year? Or
My
ordered some next
intention
year?
before this opened up is that the one that we have ordered this year, I would probably have approached you towards the end of the year to order first of next year to kind of keep one coming each year to stay ahead of it. With this opportunity coming in, I mean, I'd like to order them, but I kind of have mixed feelings because if we'd order one or two, well, then it sets something else back that we also need. So I'm kind of gonna leave it up to you guys.
In my head, I'm starting to think, would we just not order one in 24 then?
We wouldn't have to.
Okay. To me, that kind of makes sense. And you said there's, from a design standpoint, emission control, whatnot, there is an advantage of having one over ordering one next year.
Right, because the closer we get to 2027, the less likelihood of getting that spot order is going to become greater. And then once we get to 2027, all the new emissions and stuff, I'm like anyone else. I don't want to be the first guy to own one. I don't want to be the guinea pig and say, let's see what kind of trouble we can find on a brand new design. And so
I guess I'm thinking maybe, why don't you and Brad get your heads together and figure out if this is, kind of figure out how it would change your planned updating of your fleet.
right.
It sounds to me like an opportunity here.
And like I said, they're not going to get any cheaper. Me and Brad had actually discussed this, and if we'd order one, that'd put something on hold. If we would order two at this price, that'd put us ahead of the schedule. That would put us back up to where the ones that we've been having trouble with for years and years, we've been trying to get rid of. That would have enough chassis in the barn to replace them. And we can build them as budget allows us. We wouldn't have, just because we have 3 brand new chassis sitting there, we don't have to build all 3 of them the same year. We can build one each year and keep replacing, but that gives us chassis sitting there that no one else has. Basically, they can't get their hands on them. We got them to build our own. So that was our thoughts, but we wanted guidance from you gentlemen because ultimately it's your decision under advisement,
Stan, what are you thinking?
What kind of things are you gonna have to put off if you order this truck?
Well, we was kind of hoping to get like a mini excavator and a skid loader so we can do some of it. When our bridge inspections come in, they give you a list of stuff that needs to be addressed. We're hoping to be able to do some of it. And we always have room we could always run 2 pipe crews, but it seems like a majority of the year. So we'd have plenty of use for that equipment. But the emissions aren't going to hit the equipment world, I don't think, quite that fast. So I'm kind of mixed personally. I see advantages.
Are you wanting to replace a mini and a skid loader, or it's something you don't have?
It's something we don't have. Right now, we just have a backhoe and we normally rent a mini and a skid loader when we have extra work. So the rental part, that adds up in pretty quickly. And if we had those pieces of equipment, I'd probably try to budget it accordingly to where we could trade those every year or two to where we're not coming back in here and asking for a large amount of money to replace them, we can just put it in a normal budget number and get them replaced on the regular, to where that's not gonna be an issue with us anymore. So I had a 5-year plan, and since I've started, and we've scrapped it several times every year.
And you scrap it because of availability?
Because of availability, it's, okay, well, we weren't planning on that break, and now we gotta work, we gotta take our money and reallocate it towards something that
Sure.
we need.
Well, it seems to me like, the trucks are something that we use year round, and with our supply chain issues, even having trouble getting a slot in the ordering process. I mean, it seems to make sense to go ahead and double up this order and get another truck in here, especially with the changes in the emission standards coming up. So that would seem to make sense to me, as long as we got the availability to rent the other equipment that we need when we need it. So.
So Stan, you'd be in favor of maybe adding another order for one truck, one chassis?
Yeah, the slot that just came available, yeah.
We don't have to do a rebid since
Since they're honoring that price, we wouldn't.
wouldn't have to do a rebid, then, right, Mark?
Right.
So is that a motion, Stan?
Yeah, I'd make that a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made to order another truck from Stoops,
Is that 129, 190?
$990.
129,990.
990.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have for today.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Paul. Building, Rick.
Just want to try to give you some updates. The power room, the LED lights are installed in the power room. I'll have to get some quotes to get the power ran in there, but probably one of the other things we're gonna need is get that floor leveled up, get a price to level the floor up. So when they put their racks in there, it's set and level. So we'll see where that is. Room 125, there's been an LED light installed in that office to brighten that little room, that little area for that person. The doors should be in next week sometime. Fireproof door and then the door going into the room itself, hopefully. That's what my last email was. We had a sprinkler test at Circuit Court last week. It passed, everything was good. It's nice to get that out of the way. That's done for the year. The roof, representative from, I forget their name. Do you know their name, Steve?
I knew you were gonna ask me that.
Good mind blow.
They're from St. Henry.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Technique.
Our roofers.
Technology, yeah. Anyway, we just got on the roof again and just kind of went over things again, and he kind of remeasured and everything. One thing though, when I was up there, it popped in my head, which I'll try to get a quote for it, is the 2 skylights. Thinking, if we're gonna put a new roof on it, maybe those 2 skylights we should change doing it, but I'm gonna get a quote and present that to you, just to see what you think. Other than that, everything should be good with that.
Are those I'm not familiar with the skylights. Are the skylights in places where they're effective? Do they provide their function? Or should we just make them go away?
I think they do. They're up on the 3rd floor.
Okay.
Both of them are. They do let a lot of light in at the foot of the stairs.
Okay.
That's where they are.
I just know roof
I'd
penetrations,
like
any
to-
roof penetrations,
Yeah.
bad roof penetration.
But I'm just gonna quote, I mean, they're not leaking that I know of in that area, but I was just gonna see what they would cost and present that to you. There's lots going on.
I wanted to thank you, Rick, for helping us to get State Board of Accounts all moving tables and chairs and getting them all set up there. I appreciate it.
I think they're good to go.
They should be.
Yeah. So also I want to bring your attention.
Elevator, you have an update on the elevator?
I kind of got specs back from them about how we want our buttons on
Okay,
it. Okayed it, still on.
still on schedule?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of want to reiterate that maybe every week now. May 15th is when our elevator will be down. The schedule is until June 6th or 9th, I believe it is. So May 15th, the elevator at the complex will be down for the new install of our new elevator. That's what I want to bring up. Good deal. Other than toilet paper dispensers off the wall, things like that, but that's where we're at.
It's all important. right?
Just a question, Rick, on the elevator. Would it be good for each department to have a plan on how they're going to operate during that May 15th to June 9th? And just kind of have a plan whether they're going to meet clients down on the first floor or how they're going to do that.
What little discussion that kind of had, and I think with maybe Ed and Tony, and getting a list of numbers and place it on the door out there. And then if anything, set up an area, a table, chairs, whatever we may have to do to accommodate anyone that can't get upstairs. But yes, Stan, I mean, that's been discussed. I don't know really much more what to do than that.
Talk about putting the notes on all the doors,
All the doors.
the phone numbers of departments or whatever.
Departments, and if we have to.
Well, I guess I wonder if it would even serve us to set up a couple areas in the lobby out there with a desk and a couple chairs and maybe a partition or two, you know, to where they could meet with someone. I don't know if we need to do that or not, but just to try and accommodate a place on the ground floor for.
I think that's a good idea, and that's kind of the anticipation that we were gonna do, set something up, probably out here in this lobby out here. Good.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Yep.
All right. So is Gene gonna start working in the power room, putting panels up and stuff?
Well, I told him I'm gonna need some quotes on that, so I think he's pricing material and things like that nature. He did get the lights up like I just spoke a little earlier. So it's all lit up in there to be able to work and do that kind of stuff, so. He's supposed to be getting quotes on what that's gonna entail.
Rick, this is all part of the project that you're working on there with the power room, and that's not is that still the generator projects? We're still calling it the generator project?
Yes,
Okay.
that would be affiliated with the generator project.
I guess one of the things I remain concerned about is getting that budget information to council.
Mhm.
You know, they've approved whatever amount,
Right.
150,000 or whatever for that generator project, 300,000. But we know we're going to exceed that.
That's correct.
So I guess I would encourage you sooner than later to kind of get those numbers together and get back to council so that they know what's coming their way and they can begin to think about where that's going to be funded from.
I agree wholeheartedly with you, Steve. I'm just waiting. Gene Blakey has helped out tremendously on getting quotes of getting the pad poured for the generator and getting that down there. I just haven't gotten back yet.
Good. And I'm not in a hurry. I'm just saying that
Yep.
probably
I agree.
before we approve any more work being done there, let's make sure council's aware of what's coming their way.
I also think that maybe on a couple other projects, we need the same.
We owe them that because we know we're going to exceed that initial funding that they approved.
I agree.
Okay.
Hopefully I can help with Mike involved too.
Absolutely.
anything else?
Nope. Anything else, Stan?
Not that I know of. I know you got a full plate here, Rick, so I appreciate you keeping an eye on all these projects.
Thanks, Stan.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, next, Ed. You're up.
Good morning. Just a couple quick updates as well. We continue to post taxes coming in. We're pretty much right on schedule to where we should be at this point. I did prepare a press release that I gave to you gentlemen, plus the media here today. Basically just a reminder of the due date coming up and the different ways that they can pay taxes. We've expanded that quite a bit in the last year, and that's working out really, really well. The Indiana State Board of Account is here today. They started on our state and federal audits, and they'll be here a good month, perhaps up to 2 months. 4 people here this week and then just 2 people from then on. But it's quite a thorough audit. They do that on a regular basis, like I say. But Tony and I and our offices work very, very well together. And if they need something, we have it. You know, I'm very confident in that. In fact, I delivered a stack of papers to them already this morning that they were asking for. And we're in very, very good shape for that. And other than that, same old good stuff. Things are running well. If you have any questions on it,
And we had a conversation earlier about how fortunate we are to have your full-time staff and the longevity of your staff. And I know our staffs across our county have been here with us for a long time. And when the State Board of Accounts shows up or somebody else shows up, how fortunate we are as elected officials, myself, yourself, that we have those full-timers that have been here and that understand exactly where to find that stuff. And so I just wanted to publicly thank them. I know you do as well.
oh, absolutely.
For the work that they do and the loyalty they have to our county and how just taking care of us, keep us out of trouble.
My chief deputy, Kathy LaFountain, she has been here 20 years.
Yeah.
And plus 16 years prior to that in the banking industry. So it's a perfect fit for this office. And she runs her part of the office with a well-oiled machine, you know.
Yeah.
I ask her something and she's got it right now. So it's a good working relationship. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Okay, next on the agenda is Barbara, you up.
So emergency management is here for a couple of reasons. First one is Bob Hakes with IT says we need to order some parts for sirens, for a siren
Okay,
for Hannah Nutman. You want one too, Tony?
I probably will. If the
Okay.
invoice is gonna come to us, I might need it.
Okay, so the way, I'll go ahead and give you this other piece of paper on that for you. And then the second issue we want to discuss with you is the future eclipse that's coming our direction. Yeah, I'm just giving a bunch of work right now. So Bob's here and going to explain the siren part issue that we need. Hi, Steve.
So the Decatur siren failed.
Hi.
Took measurements, looked at problems, called Pedro Signal technical support, and that is what they recommend to do to fix it.
You know where this came from?
No idea.
Barb, thoughts on where this could be paid from?
Yes, I did talk to John August about it. He said in the past when a siren needed parts, the community that the siren's located in picks up half the bill, and in the past, the commissioners of the county picks up the other half.
Fortunately, it's a relatively small bill.
Well, just keep in mind there may be another $250 max to pay a licensed electrician for the connection between the 220 and that piece.
And where it filled is Decatur.
That is in and upper part.
So, Mark, how do we do that? Do they go to them first to see if they'll pay half and then come to us for the other half? How do we do that?
Well, it may have been done that way in the past, but if it's not in the budget, I think we gotta.
Yeah, we've got to know where it's coming out of to see if there's money in the budget to pay it.
What's the timeline on getting this done?
Was it 6 to 8 weeks for delivery of the part?
So you probably would have time, if we can figure out where it would need paid from,
And this is a siren that's not working now, is that correct?
That's correct.
and maybe.
I thought we had
Decatur
something in the
about that.
commissioner's budget for sirens.
I did send Mayor Rickard an email with this quote and explained to him what John August had explained to me. And he said whatever he or they, the city, have done in the past is what they would do again.
So we can expect that they would participate as they have in the past.
Yes.
And if we can wait a
As far as the
week or
line
two on
item,
this, we can find out, I can find out after the meeting where this should be paid from.
yeah, because you can look up the Capital Electronics in the past and see where
Right.
it's been paid from. They're the only.
But you're saying it's 6 to 8 weeks of.
That's what that's what they said. I mean, we can push to try and get it quicker, but yeah.
I don't know
So
if
if
you
we
may
wait-
have something in your budget or if it's something.
Let me look.
We wait, doesn't that stand out another week or two?
Yeah, I would think we could find $1,500 somewhere in
Yeah.
a $10 million budget
Yeah.
to get it paid out of.
Stan, are you getting in on all this?
I think Mark's kind of looking to see.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we need to get parts ordered as soon as possible. And, if we can, I'm not sure if we have a specific line item for the sirens or, I don't have the budget in front of me, the commissioner's budget, but, I would, think too that we would have
The equipment.
that money available, to repair the sirens, so.
Would 1138 work for that?
I don't know about 1138. It may be in there. I don't know that it'd be in 1138. It may be directly in commissioner's budget too. Like I say, I don't have that budget in front of me right now, but
I'd say we just need to find a place to get it paid out of.
Mark, do we want to,
We've got equipment.
can they approve half this cost contingent upon Decatur paying half, or should they do a contingent upon, I mean, we'll find a place to pay it.
It sounds like Decatur's already agreed to pay half. They're not going to give any more.
I just don't know if there's voting on it yet.
I don't believe it has one. It was just an email between
Okay.
Mayor Rickard
I just want to make sure we do this correctly since State Board of Accounts is here as we speak. I mean, we just got to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Got money in commissioner's equipment line item.
Equipment line item, what's that number? It's not 1138, is it?
Let's see. No, I can't tell what the fund number is. It says
068 would be the,
42,601.
that would be, where are you looking? There. It says, hey, next to that equipment.
Yeah.
It's not an ARPA thing, is it?
No,
It says surveyor new truck.
yeah, but it's 160,000. We might have one, but that's not all for that.
Well,
So
maybe you just say, if you want to go on and talk about the eclipse, I'll make a little message here.
Okay, that sounds great.
Before we move off of sirens, I guess one of the things that I have read recently, and I think it makes sense, is the world has changed so much since those sirens were put up. I'm not even gonna venture how long ago. Now I rely on this thing to get my emergency notification. I don't wait on listening to a siren that may work or may not work. You know, with a $3,000 bill, that's one thing. If you came to me and said we needed $250,000 to replace a siren, I would say time out. Let's think this through. Let's not just continue on with the way we've done things in the past. So my challenge to you is, as you think through our emergency warning here in our county, let's think about the long-term future of sirens, whether they continue to play a critical role in notification of our residents, or whether they've been usurped by technology, usurped by these things, these phones,
Megan
in other
and I-
ways.
Megan and I just attended the Indiana-Ohio border meeting last week, I believe. Last Tuesday. And that was one of the main topics at that meeting, was that there are counties that are not repairing
Mhm.
or installing any new sirens, that they are going to be eliminated.
Yeah.
Now, there was pros and cons at that meeting.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm in favor of that.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you, obviously you do have your antenna up already and you're thinking
Exactly.
about this.
Yes.
Like I said, to me, this is an easy decision. But if it was 10 or 20 times this amount, we'd probably have a different conversation.
And I'm sure in the future, things are gonna change.
Yeah.
Because sirens are the dinosaur way of alerting people.
Well, and they're so expensive and relatively unreliable.
Well, you've got, there's also $3,500 under the civil defense budget for equipment repair.
That's helpful.
What line's that?
33,700.
3,700,000,068.
No, it just
Is that
says,
the commissioner's budget?
no, I'm just on my budget worksheet, so it'd be 0361 is the budget number, but the line item is 33,700, equipment repair. It's $3,513 in there. So you've got money either there or under equipment.
Tony, I just ask you to bring back a recommendation on where that money can come from, unless you got it right now. If that's the line you're recommending, I'll make a motion that we approve up to this
I
amount.
think if you say,
Up to one half of the actual cost of repair.
if you say that and just say it should be paid out of the commissioner's budget,
Okay. I'll make that motion.
I'll
We'll
find
find the
a
right
place.
line item, but it'll come out of our budget somewhere.
Well, I would second that motion, but I'm looking at 4260 in the commissioner's budget, which is strictly equipment. And we had an appropriation of $160,000 in there and we've still got 155 left. So to me, that would be inappropriate if we're going to take it out of commissioner's budget.
it was originally put in there for a surveyor truck. But Mark just mentioned that, and I don't know that you would need 155,000, but I don't know what kind of truck they're buying.
Yeah. So either way, yeah, if we want to use that EMA line item, but if we are going to use the commissioner's budget, I would go to 4260, I guess, for that, but.
So I've got a motion and it's passed. We just gotta figure out which line we're gonna take it out of.
Figure out what half of that is.
Well, it could be another $250.
That's true.
So I would say you made the motion up
Let's
to.
let's
Let's
say,
just say up to that amount.
let's say up to $2,000. We're talking about is the
Yeah.
actual cost.
Yeah.
Up to $2,000
Your half of
for the
it.
equipment and installation.
You good with that, Stan?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yep.
Barb, before we move away from this topic, one of the things that, as you're aware, and we're all aware, recently went through the tornadoes that kind of caused us to shut down county government and do some things. One of the things that I think came to light in that whole discussion was the fact that this building remains a tornado shelter. And I assume we have other tornado shelters throughout the county. I just don't know where they are. I should, but I don't.
Mhm.
Do you have some kind of guidance for us, or is there some kind of guidance as to how we should operate those tornado shelters, whether they, how to keep them open, how to make sure they're appropriately accessible and stocked with whatever supplies they need to have? And, you know, I'm going back to the old fallout shelters that were stocked, that were back when I was a kid, that were stocked with supplies and whatnot. But is there some kind of game plan that we should, playbook that we should pull off the shelf when a tornado's coming and we say, okay, we do this and we do this and we do this?
Who's asking that? SBOA. About what?
We have several shelters throughout the county.
Okay,
We do have a printed list of those,
okay,
and in some incidents, we have had those read off on WZBD radio.
Okay.
So people are aware of those ahead of time. The shelters themselves are not, I will say, professionally stocked with anything.
Okay.
They are just an immediate facility.
and I understand a tornado is different than it's not a relatively long duration event.
Right.
So you don't really need to be stocked with food and shelter and bedding and whatnot.
Right.
But I guess there needs to be some kind of an understanding if we as a county are going to list this building as a shelter, how is it going to be, is there a requirement that those buildings then be available to residents to access them? And I guess I want to make sure that I understand as a commissioner what our obligation is whenever we go on WZBD and say, here are the tornado shelters. If somebody arrives at one of those shelters and the shelter's locked.
Right.
Obviously that's a bad thing. And tornado may hit 3 a.m. in the morning. You know, I don't know.
What we do have, well, let me start here. So when there's an instance, as the storm that came through, it was predicted way ahead of time.
Right.
And we at EMA, along with fire, law enforcement, human resources, we were all there together discussing. And
I think we're
watching.
so fortunate that for the most part, you all sat in the same building, or a lot of you sat in the same building.
We were all there together monitoring the situation.
Yeah.
So National Weather Service really thought we were going to have an F4.
Believe me, in no way am I questioning. I think you were better safe than sorry. You all are the experts at this.
Yeah.
I am not. And if you say we need to do, I'm going to follow your lead. And if I was sitting in Stan's shoes and you called me, I'd have said,
Yeah.
absolutely, whatever your recommendation is, because I'm far cry from a weather forecaster and certainly not involved in emergency management.
But to answer your question directly about the facilities, we have, they're called memorandum of understandings with different facilities in the county, some fire departments, some PDs, some, like Riverside Center is one, the Annex is one, that in event of any disaster or emergency, we at EMA have 24-hour, 7-day-a-week contact information and phone numbers.
Okay.
So we know who to call and that their numbers, and that's one of the things we do annually is update all that information. That's one of our resources. So if a situation comes together, like it did the other day, if we'd had to contact all these facilities, we have someone at every one of them that we know we can contact, and that facility is going to be open for us.
So, and just back to the event,
Mhm.
the most recent event, would it have been a situation where you would have reached out then to your contacts for all of our tornado shelters and say, hey, the weather forecasters are saying we've got a tornado on the way, or there's a good possibility. We want to make sure that the shelters are open and available for residents.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry about that. I know that's
Oh, no,
that's a sidebar to what you
No,
came here to talk about
I
today.
get it. I get it. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, ready
Thank
to
you.
go Eclipse?
There's also a emergency planning right to know budget 1152. I don't know what that is, but there's a budget line item for that. And in that fund, there is also equipment, $5,075. Yep, Fund
So we've got some
1152.
options there within the EMA budget for equipment repair.
I mean, I think if we just say we pay it out of commissioner budget, we can just figure that out.
Good,
Right.
good deal.
I'll bring it up with Brady when I get upstairs, we'll figure it out.
You identified at least 3 funds that you could
Yep.
use, so.
Mhm.
When you approve an
the
expenditure,
eclipse.
you just have to have monies
Ready for
appropriated in
eclipse.
some fund.
Yeah.
Ready for eclipse.
I didn't know there was any plane that went to Eclipse. I thought they just happened.
Busy
And we
anyway,
just-
I'm just gonna say. So we were advised maybe 2, 3 months ago of the total eclipse that's going to happen April 8th, 2024. There's been talk about it, there's been rumors about it. At first, we didn't take it super serious. It was just something we were listening to. So the more we heard about it, Billy, Megan, myself, have been attending meetings. The last big one we had was in Ohio, in Van Wert. And the consensus is that Adams County / Van Wert is right on the edge of where the total eclipse is going to be. And I gave you guys some maps. I know they're kind of rough. We will continue to attend state meetings and the Indiana-Ohio meetings to keep updated. This time, we know it's a long way off, but the closer we get, we will be writing incident action plans. Main consideration in this event is the amount of traffic that's going to be coming through Adams County to get to Mercer County, Van Wert,
And
Dart,
Paulding.
So we're talking 27, 33, 224. And the amount of people, Van Wert's expecting about 50,000 extra people over that 48-hour period. Now, they're going to be coming from different directions, but we want to make sure that we're prepared here for first responders. We don't know what that's going to do to our highways and even our back roads. If the highways are backed up, people try to take shortcuts, figure out the best way to get to where they want to go. The hospitals too, we want to make sure that they're aware of what's going on. And the closer it gets to time, and I'm saying like maybe 3 months from now, we'll have another meeting with everyone in the county and try to figure out what our strategy should be for this. Communications has been brought up in that Indiana-Ohio group. They're concerned about the amount of cell phone usage and what that's going to do for our community. So we just want you guys to know that it's on our radar, so to speak. We don't have a fixed plan yet, but we are sharing conversation, taking in information, and analyzing everything that we have to come up with a good plan. So we just didn't want you to hear something on the radio or read something in the paper and wonder if we're doing anything.
So what I'm hearing you say is you're not as concerned about results of the eclipse per se, but people that are coming into our community to observe the eclipse, into or through our community, observe the eclipse and what that's going to do to the infrastructure.
Exactly.
I gotcha. I was trying to figure out the
Yeah.
connection between the eclipse and emergency
Yeah.
management. I get it now.
I mean, from the information that we have gathered so far, it will be a near total eclipse in our area. But the prime areas for this part of the country are in Ohio. So we're just anticipating what that's going to mean to the highways. We'll be including NDOT in our meetings in the future. Anyone that can provide information to us. All these other groups and departments, companies are planning their own strategy. But we want to pull all that together, in 6 months at least prior to the incident, so that we're all working together on it. So we really don't know what to expect right now. but we're expecting something. Kind of like the storm that came through a few weeks ago.
It shouldn't affect our communications per se for emergency services. Our big concerns, mobile phones, stuff like that. If they have plugs. That's sure. More space to
Suggestions?
Jim?
I was to the meeting, they were too, and Rick McCoy and I are really good friends. And for example, if they don't mind if I can say a couple of things. For example, if our streets were all to get totally locked and jammed and somebody has a bad accident or a heart attack and they can't even get to the hospital because everything's jammed up, or if there were to be someone that started having if we get, I've heard from Fort Wayne people, some of the rumors that they're expecting 27 to be totally locked from Fort Wayne to Decatur. If we get that, how are we gonna feed all those people? Some are gonna be coming the night before. Where are they gonna stay? These are all things that they heard too that make this such a crucial consideration.
Okay.
Gentlemen, I'm attending a statewide meeting for law enforcement on May 16th down in Plainfield. It's specifically for law enforcement to address these issues. So we will have a plan. Our roads will not be gridlocked. We have tow trucks. So I'm not too worried about it. We will handle it. We're planning for it. It's going to be an intense period for 24-hour period, but we'll deal with it. We'll handle it. But there is other meetings that will be happening that really doesn't even include EMA. This is all law enforcement. So when I get back from that, we'll discuss with EMA. We'll have a plan ready. There's no doubt about it. We'll have an IEP for it, and we'll handle it.
We just want to make sure you were aware of it.
Okay.
We're on it.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, Mark's not down here yet.
If you want to, you can go ahead and go to either Shannon, or you could go Golden Meadows here. You can go to the Golden Meadows monthly report.
All right, let's go with Golden. Oh, Mark just walked in, sorry.
Right on,
Right on it, Mark.
Waiting outside.
Was you waiting outside?
No. No. I'm right on time.
You are right on time. I just said Mark's not here, so.
Yes. So, I said.
Lot of sound.
What is that?
It's reverb.
Is it between I always wonder about the microphone on your computer versus the microphone
mine's off.
system in here. Okay, yours is off.
I turned mine all the way down before we started.
Is that off?
You know what it was, is when I walked around here.
Monthly report. Let's start with that. Yes. As you can see, we're still going out a lot of permits. My interest has not changed a thing.
Oh, Marcia.
So we're still
Sorry.
very, very busy in the
This-
office.
This
Very
is
busy out there.
She's trying to get. Oh, nope, not the right number, sorry. Yeah, but.
Got any questions on that?
I have none. I make a motion to accept that report in the record.
Since it's two of you, that makes it unanimous, huh?
Hey, Stan's chiming in there once in a while.
How'd we do this month, Mark?
We did good.
Oh, that's right. You
Good.
didn't see the report, did you, Stan?
No.
Dan, it looks perfect. It's perfect.
We gave out 45 permits as compared to last March as 33.
Okay, what's our dollar amount year to date?
We are at estimated cost of the 7,192,000, 6,556 last year. 6.5
Okay.
last year, 7.1 this year.
All right. Well, I wonder how much of that is red gold or if there's a lot of commercial in there.
Well, red gold was a big one, but actually I have to look where that one fell at. But
That might have been, would that have been last year maybe?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay. All right.
You have, let's see, number of permits, the difference. We are positive 43 permits this year over last year.
Wow. Okay. Well, that shows a confidence in Adams County for sure. Yep.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor to accept this.
I'd second it.
All
All right, subdivisions. Had a couple of them today.
I seen that.
So I can keep them all straight. So 000 and 450 South. This is the property we're talking about. It was one piece. Barely read it, but a little over 12 acres, got divided into these two. Road frontage. One's a corner lot, and that's it. This is pretty self-explanatory.
Motion approved.
Stan, you can't see these, so I'm gonna second them.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
I'll second it.
Will somebody sign for Stan, the initial? Is that how
I
that
will
works?
and put, be a remote out next to it.
Now or
So-
later?
I'll do it now.
Okay.
We're in it. Forgot the end.
We've got space on your side.
$300 north, US 27. This is the piece we started with. This is what we're ending with. Now, the goofiest part, and there's nothing in the art says you can't do it. For some reason, this is part of that. There is actually a space between these two pins. Don't ask me why it's like that. There was no good answer for why.
Just what I was gonna ask.
That's what it is. So this is a lot, one lot, one lot. So obviously able to access it. 27 is a little fun to access. You'll have a good time figuring out that, but that's, that can be done.
Motion approved. Second. Okay.
This one's a little unusual, but, so this person originally started with 3 lots, and when you go from 3 to 3, it's not a problem. They went from 3 to 2, and there was basically a mess up on, there should have been 3. They left this out, so they're actually fixing an issue they did, so that's why it's called a replat. But it's still, everything's legal, they got a 2-acre lot. It just there was 2 smaller lots here and a bigger lot here, and they evened them out and made 2, but they forgot to draw that in, and we passed it. You guys went through this already, and so they corrected it. And, it's 100 south, 250 east. They basically just forgot.
Motion approved.
Second.
6 bedrooms and I put a big pool table and we're trying to make primo Airbnb, you know. Trying to make money work for me rather than seeing it wash out.
Something that stands in or what?
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah, the first year is gonna be scary, I think, but that's all right, you know, like, go through tough
I'm
times.
trying to figure out if that conversation is coming from your end or somebody's infiltrating our meeting here. You got some background noise there?
Yeah, are you hearing somebody talk?
We are.
Okay. Let me, hang on here.
He can mute until he wants to.
His microphone might pick up their remarks.
If you want to mute until you would need to say something, stand that mic out.
He did.
Oh, he did? Okay. Good thinking.
Okay. 150 south, 650 east. One big parcel. Turned into 3.
Okay.
Okay, road. And now that the auction's done, I haven't asked how that went and how the lots went. They're all the same person.
We're still
Did it
waiting
fall
for
3
public
different
hearing
people.
for the
We gotta do the public hearing.
But the three lot subdivision in the west.
9.9 went to 1 and then the other 2 went to 1.
You would approve the subdivision the way we have it laid out, because we've got a buyer for lot 1, a buyer for lots 2 and 3. We'll just convey it 2 and 3,
Okay, and if
and
they
then we
choose,
got lot 4.
if they choose to combine it, they can do that later.
Yeah,
if they feel like it.
but since it is subdivided, we might as well convey it.
Oh, I agree. That's up to them.
They're never gonna get us split again if we
Right.
don't.
Yep. So we can bring that down here
Yeah.
for the next,
Yep. Hey, Mark, do
but
you
the
have
east side, no.
east side?
We're not doing anything with it because it didn't happen.
Well, no, the east side, we go ahead and approve that plot too.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
we approved the subdivision.
It just
the way
went
it
for
is.
less than.
They may not
Oh, it did sell.
they may not approve the sale,
Right.
but it's already surveyed that way. That's how we want to approve.
Okay, I just didn't know. I heard it didn't
It
sell, so I
sold, but it
didn't
was
know.
under the amount, so these guys have to have a public hearing to use it tonight.
Okay. So should I bring that next Tuesday or wait till they have their hearing?
No, you could go ahead and bring it, because we can
You
approve
could do
the
that.
subdivision.
You could,
And if they don't confirm the sale on lot 4, they'll just own it that way then, as subdivided.
Oh, we got one more. Sorry.
Sorry.
There was a lot. Let's start talking. This is also, a replat, which you don't see much of anymore. Again, it was long story short, this is a Kunkel and 27, and there's sewer over here, and they put a lot here that was less than 2 acres because they were going to bore and connect to the sewer. Railroad wanted $180,000 to bore underneath their railroad. Hence, no more sewer. We had to be at least 2 acres, so he could now find a spot for
Survey from where
a
lot.
septic system.
Okay.
So we had to redraw that and add more
We
acres.
have it up here.
This
The
lot
commissioners
is
are
already
gonna
done.
approve it next Tuesday.
That is what happened. They actually have So this lot had to be over 2, which it is now, with this new portion, and there's an easement, and then there's a lot broke out down here, that's where the actual septic's gonna go. That's the only place they could find a spot.
Yep.
So they created an easement for it.
Yep,
Which is legit. So that's what they did.
Stretch.
Yeah, busting going that way, but
Yeah, we'll go ahead
It's a
and
shame.
approve it the way it's.
made so difficult.
Fire for
Do borings that shouldn't cost
2 and 3.
anywhere near that.
Second. And then lot 4, if they don't confirm the sale on lot 4. then
He's willing to do it.
it's platted. So, all right, anything else, let me know.
Now, no,
Me neither. Okay.
nope. Didn't even look back there. I didn't know that.
I don't know.
Okay, now, next, let's see.
You got a lot of areas. You've got Golden Meadows monthly report.
On Golden Meadows.
You've got Ian after that. You've got Shannon still. I don't see the people with the prayer thing. Maybe they're coming next week. Don't see them.
I can go over that if you'd like. So in March, we're currently sitting at 22 residents. We did have one discharge of a woman. We brought in a total of 24,647. 8,700 of that was from Arch, and the other 15,800 was from private pay. And that's detailed on that report. I know that Steve can see that. The only other thing I have is just an activity we do have coming up at Golden Meadows to raise money for the Special Needs Fund. We are hosting a carnival in a couple weeks, so if you have any kids or grandkids or anyone who wants to come out, it's May 13th at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to have like a bounce house, weather permitting, of course, and then dunk tank, games, snacks, and everything there, okay?
What time is that?
On the 13th, it's 10 a.m.
10 a.m.,
10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
10 to 2?
Make a motion, we accept the monthly report from Golden Meadows.
Should I?
See, since Stan hasn't seen it, he's
Right,
probably.
I'll second it.
struggled.
Tony needs this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, take that upstairs with me. I
Okay.
have to sign it also. When's that activity gonna be?
May 13th.
You got anything else, Steve?
I don't. I had my first opportunity to go out to Golden Meadows last week.
I think so.
Yeah, and what a caring group of staff that you have out there. And the residents that I had any interaction with seem to be very happy to be there. And I know you guys are working your tails off out there. to make that a good life for those folks. I just want to say thank you.
Yes, thank you. Our staff is amazing out there. Yep, they'll do anything for any of those residents. All right,
Thanks.
you guys, have a good day.
You too.
We got Ian next.
Ian? You're next.
And his yes.
Looks like you got some followers today.
They're leaders, I'm a follower.
Oh,
Is this for the Department of Corrections grants again?
Yeah, so it seems as though each year DOC comes out with a earlier and earlier deadline for us to submit our annual grants. So we're actually, we've completed our 2024 grants and have gotten board approval. And so today we're here just to give you an update and ask for your permission to submit these grants to the DOC. Sticky.
Oh, this is the total you're requesting.
Yeah, this is the total amount requested.
how long of a timeline do they usually respond back to you?
Go ahead.
Sometime this fall. It changes every year.
Oh, really?
They're hoping by August. So
August?
see what happens.
Now this is for 2024?
Correct.
Okay.
We've already got our funding figured out for 2023, so they want us to have it do that by April 28th. As long as everyone approves, that way they can start their process and get back to us.
So just to give you an update as to what we're applying for this year and what we're going to be doing with the funding. Community Corrections is requesting $433,670. That's an increase of $25,000 from previous years. We're asking for that increase. We don't know if we're going to get it, but we're asking for an additional $25,000 to help offset the cost of inflation and ongoing decreases in numbers due to the corona pandemic, so COVID pandemic. So there's no guarantee, but when we reached out to DOC about that, they said it doesn't hurt to ask.
When you just said decrease in numbers, what numbers are you referring to?
The number of referrals that we've had
Okay.
since the pandemic began have been down quite a bit. So,
Do you see that as continuing, or where do you see that going?
Steve, I'd like to say it's not, I'd like to say it's going to improve. We did, here in the last 6 months, we did see about 2 or 3 months where our numbers were back up to 50 people per day, but right now I have 38. So it's going like this. I have noticed an increase in traffic stops, particularly in the city of Decatur here recently. I know the sheriff has said before, we're going to pick it up and arrest more people. But, we're at the mercy of the referrals from the courts. And so if there aren't as many arrests happening or traffic stops, we're not going to get as many referrals. So
COVID changed the world in ways that we probably still don't even think about yet, but
for sure. So, but really that's the change for community corrections. The next one on your list there is mental health court. And I'm sure you've heard us talk a little bit about that. Judge Conrad was here, but he had to run for a hearing. We are submitting a grant this year for the first time to the Department of Corrections for $69,700 to initiate and start mental health court. Now, that court is going to start sometime in 2023. We haven't gotten our certification yet with the Indiana Office of Court Services, but we do intend to launch that program in 2023. It will be under the direction of Community Corrections. It will not be a separate entity. It will not have separate staff. The staff that are going to oversee the mental health court will be myself and my case managers at Community Corrections. So we're not hiring someone to be in charge of mental health court. We're absorbing it into Community Corrections. The $69,700 that we're requesting, that's going to pay for I've got $40,000 allocated towards Project Sunrise, which is part of Community Corrections. That's the program where we work with behavioral health and the Bowen Center to get our participants quickly referred into services and on the road of treatment and rehabilitation. My hope is that if I get that money from DOC, we're going to partner with one of the mental health agencies, perhaps behavioral health, and having someone on site at my office to see clients at Community Corrections, so it'll be even speedier to get people into services. In addition to that $69,700 will also pay for support groups,
incentives and help offset the cost of drug testing, as well as staff training. So that's pretty much what that money is going for. The program is currently still in development. We're still working on policies, procedures. We have a training coming up in May that many of us are going down to Indianapolis for, specializing in these specialty courts. And so I'm sure we'll come out of there with some ideas and things as well. But looking forward to it. I think it's a population that is different than what we've dealt with in the past. Myself and several staff members have been to Fort Wayne, to Allen County's mental health court, as well as Madison County down in Anderson, and observed the mental health courts that they have there. It's much different than drug court when we had that. It's not the same population, although it could be someone with a mental illness who is suffering from addiction. But I don't know, Valdemar, if you want to speak at all as far as your perspective of mental health court and the clients that we'll be serving.
And that was, so we met and we talked about the different clientele, because we also have to be mindful of severity in regards to mental health. And we've been processing what that would look like, because if someone is severely schizophrenic and they're a part of mental health court, like what's the expectation for our staff to help with that? We did talk about, it was a primary diagnosis of mental health and a secondary diagnosis of alcohol or drug related disorder. I think, from my understanding, it would be primary mental health, secondary drug or alcohol. But I think it just depends on how we're doing with our initial phases of this.
The other thing that we have to remember is the success of this program isn't about curing mental illness. We're not going to cure mental illness. Once it's there, it's likely going to be there forever. But we're hopefully going to help stabilize and help these participants to live more of a normal life with better decision-making skills in society. It's not going to be a big program. Our target is a maximum of 12 participants with the current staff that we have available at Community Corrections. So we're not looking to fill the courtroom with 30, 40, 50 people at a time. We're looking at a small population that lives within our community that is being arrested, that mental illness is the leading reason behind why they're making the decisions that, that's getting them into trouble. So super excited about it, and yet nervous at the same time, so.
And also keep those individuals out of the jail.
Yeah.
Diverting them from the jail where they're not getting the resources that they need.
Sure.
So it's a big thing, it really is.
I think in another sense, this would be probably the folks that are on here have not liked their therapist or have worked with someone in mental health that, ever since then, I will never go back. So maybe this is a way for them to see that things have changed in regards to counseling and treatment. There's an old school way of doing things. It's changed throughout the years, so be another benefit.
Jack, do you want to talk about probation and pretrial?
Yeah, I didn't know. Hold on, we need a copy of this. I apologize. It's okay.
As you can see in Ian's flyer, probation is still requesting the same amount we received last year. Primarily, it's going to help fund a probation officer that's specifically dealing with high moderate risk felons. She really specializes in the ones with mental health, substance use issues, and those coming right out of DOC. So if you're coming out of DOC and you've been there for 5+ years, really you don't have a bed waiting for you at home, unless you have family support. So there's a lot of things you have to help that person get set up with to make a smooth transition, and hopefully prevent them from going back into jail or somewhere else. So that position has been a big help. With that, we also have a part-time field officer that goes out, does home checks to help check in after hours, so that way we can have more eyes on everything. So for pretrial services, last year we were certified by Indiana Support Services, and with that, DOC has an opportunity. We can request funding for financial assistance. To backtrack, pretrial services, right now it's Rhonda, her part-time position, so she works 25 hours a week, which is great when she's there, but whenever she's sick or she needs to be out for whatever other reasons, then it's pretty much myself or the probation officers going over to the jail or trying to pick up the slack. So for the pretrial services portion of our DOC grant, we asked for a considerable amount, but that's just to make sure we can see if we can fill the position, and $102,000 would make it an opportunity, if we get it, to offer a position for someone that's either just starting out as a certified probation officer to be a pretrial services officer, or somebody that's got 20 years and also with the benefits. So that's where that number came from. There's no guarantee we're going to get it. It's just like, hey, we could use some help. Is this something you could help us out with or not? And then what's really helpful is court services is also working with DOC. So I don't have to write 2 different grants. They're the same one. So I really appreciated that this year. So that's pretty much the applications from my end in a nutshell. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them, but that's kind of a quick overview.
Okay, so jail treatment, we're not asking for anything different this year in regards to funding. Again, we provide counseling to the inmates. We go Monday, Tuesday, and half day Wednesdays. We also provide case management for some of them, relapse prevention. Our focal point is substance use disorders. So as long as they have a primary diagnosis of a substance use disorder, then we can provide services. At minimum, to graduate from that, they would have to do at least 12 sessions. It's a voluntary program, so again, if people aren't participating, then as a voluntary program, we will then probably remove them from the list and put someone that's been waiting and actually wanting to seek services, which we have done in the past. And then if they continue with us post and they needed additional services, typically criminal justice has been on board with this, letting us continue where we stop. So, and it's a good way for people to, again, to see that counseling is important and the stigma behind it. It's a negative connotation sometimes when you're working with substance use disorders.
So it's kind of hard to believe that back in 2007, we submitted this first grant for less than $250,000. And throughout the years of receiving funding through the DOC, here we are in 2023 requesting $750,000 to help offset the cost of incarceration in Adams County. It's just amazing that we've gone this far and had such great success as a county.
I think that's the reason that you've gone this far, is because the success you've had and the utilization of those funds. It's been really impactful, and the DOC sees that, and so do we.
I appreciate that. And I think that it goes back to, and I think that Baltimore and Jack can echo what I'm saying, is we have staff that it's not just a job, but they care about changing lives in Adams County. And we're very fortunate, all of us, to have the staff that we have who love what they do and come to work knowing that they're making people better for society. So helping people get better. I guess I wouldn't say making.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what we need for you is a motion to approve the submission, approval, and then signing off on this letter that I have, which I'm not sure how we're going to do because Stan's obviously not here unless somebody has a stamp, or I can reprint a letter with, I guess, Steve, are you acting as
In the
chair?
past, I've been able to sign and put via remote as long as he
That's okay.
approves it.
Yeah, I'm acting as president today.
I thought
You
looked
just
different.
need the chairman's signature or what?
Yeah, the chairman's
I
signature.
do have one question for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would it matter if Steve signs it as acting chairman?
Yeah, he can
I
sign.
might be all wrong or anything, and I might not understand the system, but you talked about community corrections, and you say you're running around 38. You used to be about 50, and Decatur police are pulling over more, and Dan's gonna step it up and stuff. But is it a good thing that we're lower? I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
yeah,
I'm looking
it-
at it.
Absolutely it is.
Okay,
I mean, but at the same time, collecting user fees at 50% of our budget, and when our numbers aren't where they were prior to the pandemic, it makes things a little bit scary. So,
okay.
we're set up to monitor more people. And, it's just.
I understand where but I was just thinking that, well, it's almost a good thing, but it's a bad thing on the finances, but it's a good thing for the community.
Correct.
Make-
Anything else?
Make a motion to approve application of this grant.
Second that.
Okay.
And Mark said you can sign as acting chairman.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thanks.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for all you do.
Yes, I don't know how you did get the wrong name, but.
How do I do that? He's got Stan's name on it. Mark,
What's that?
he's got Stan's name as chairman on here.
Should cross that out.
Just cross it out, put your name, acting chairman.
a lucky day.
You used to extend place. Don't tell him.
Don't tell him.
Is he catching fish?
Where do you want me to sign that?
I was thinking about catching fish.
I'd be angry if
Wishing
I
he
was,
was catching fish.
I'd be angry if I was sitting there and not in the boat.
Been talking about walleye ever since he got on the camera this morning, so it's on his mind.
It needs a sign to hold up that says, I'd rather be fishing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay, let's get back.
You've got
Schedule here. We got Shannon.
or county attorney. I don't know who's up next.
Who wants to go first? You, Mark, or Shannon? I can go here. You go first. All right.
Good collaboration. Get the ordinance number. Oh, boy. Hold on, let me look.
As always.
Oh, no.
This is a mandatory ordinance. We're updating the nuisance ordinance that you adopted back in, I think it was October 25th to 22. You adopted ordinance 2022-14, which dealt with public nuisances. And in that ordinance, there was a provision for appeal of a decision. And we've researched that. We think that it needs to, that there's section 8 of that ordinance needs to be replaced. And if there's a citation issued, and then it's not remedied, then the process is that the county attorney's office would file a ordinance violation with the court, and then it's processed through the courts as an ordinance violation. And that's according to Indiana Code 34-28-5. And so that's section 8 is just is being replaced in that original ordinance. And so it states, the new section 8 states any person or business receiving a notice of violation of this ordinance must correct the violation or bring the property into compliance within the 10-day time frame prescribed in the notice, or a civil action to enforce this ordinance may be brought against the property owner as provided by IC 34-28-5. I've checked that statute, and that's the correct statute. So anyway, we just need a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-11, which amends that procedure in the nuisance ordinance.
How does it say it's to be done now? Do you know the?
Well, I think now it could be appealed to the commissioners, but since the commissioners are initiating it, it needs to go to the court system so that there's a fair, impartial, forum, that if an individual, having a defense can then present a defense and let the court handle it.
Then you can also, we issue a citation where this new version, you guys
Yep.
issue the citation.
Yep.
Right?
Well, we process it as an ordinance violation.
Correct.
Yep.
No citation will be written by an officer.
Yep. Any questions on that?
I would make a motion to approve that change as per Mark's recommendation.
Second.
Motion's been made and approved.
And we've got there's several of those, I think, in the works right now, so we haven't had to file any yet, but it's possible we will have to. All right, and then I just gotta reprint this last page because it's got March here.
Hey, Mark, can I ask you a quick question?
Yep.
While we're talking about ordinances, has there been any progress made on that company that was going to codify all our ordinance and resolutions?
Yes, Julie Marie's been working with them, so I think they're gonna have something fairly soon.
Very good. Thank you.
He's been working back with Angie and.
Yep.
So we should.
And then this purchase order for the siren, I would say, you could have the commissioners, you could have Steve go ahead and sign it, dated today, Adams County Board of Commissioners. We'll find which fund to take it out of, but
Then
then
they had set up to 2,000.
Yeah,
Yep.
2,000.
Yeah, Bree and I can easily find one of those.
if you want to send that to EMA, and then they can,
Then they'll just have, whoever, whether it goes to Bob or EMA, they'll just have to get us the invoice, and
yep,
it just has to be under the 2,000 when we get it. Sign
Uh,
it. Then I'll
That
take
way,
it.
then the new siren parts should get here right at the end of tornado season.
Yep, right at the beginning of winter, probably.
most likely. But yeah, that's it.
That's it from you, Mark? Okay, Shannon, do you have anything for us?
One thing or another.
What?
So, as you guys are aware, Golden Meadows is going through an FSSA audit, and part of that audit discusses background checks. So I've prepared a background check policy that is specific to Golden Meadows that is effective today. So I just need you to review and sign that if you'd like to approve it, please.
I read this.
I have to. I'm making a motion to approve.
Stan, did you get a chance to read this?
Yes, I did. I read it and I would second that motion.
Okay, motion is made and passed.
Can I see that for a second, just so I know how to word it for this? And you said this is special,
Golden Meadows, yes.
Sign Stan's name.
okay,
So you'll be then initiating those background checks
Today, probably.
today?
Yep,
Okay.
I did one. I ran one already just to
Cool.
test it to see what it
How
looks
long will
like.
it take you to get these all done?
They say 3 to 5 business days to actually get the report back. But if there's no record, it's typically 24 business hours, so it won't take very long, just depending on what's going on. So there's, I believe we identified 9 individuals who we have to contact that are no longer employed. So that could be a challenge, but we'll do our best.
Is that all you had for us, Shannon?
It is.
Thank you.
Thanks.
yeah, if you could scan this to me, just so we can save it in our record.
Anything else from the public? Yes, sir. You want to come up front?
Just one quick thing. You guys are going to inspect my property in May. 2 weeks ago, you asked if I had somebody in mind, and I did not at that point, but I do now. I would like Mr. Stan Stoff and Megan to be with me.
Thank you.
You'd like for Stan to be with them when they inspect your place?
Yes. I get really tired of the we said, they said, we said. So if he's here, he can report to you.
Okay, Stan, did you hear that?
Yeah, what's the date on that again? May 11th or what's the date?
Like a Thursday?
Is it May 11th?
I believe so.
May 11th, a Thursday, Stan?
It is.
Yes.
Yes, it is. The only thing we've got, let's see, 11 a.m. If we do it between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m., Vernon, the reason why I asked to have somebody from the sheriff's department do it is just to have somebody that's objective. And I certainly don't mind being there. I will be happy to be there. I just don't want to be the one to make that decision because I wouldn't consider myself objective since I've known you pretty much all my life. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I would be happy to be there. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I have a question for Mark while we're talking about this. I know it sounded like there are some questions as far as defining the court order, and I didn't know if that was going to delay this May 11th date.
That doesn't affect the inspection. No. Nope.
Because I know the sheriff had some questions as to the particulars of what the compliance requirements were.
Yes. Yeah, I've talked to Dan about it, and we need to file something with the court in the case where the judgment and order is, and make sure that we've got clear directions for the sheriff as to what action to take, when, and how to do it.
Okay, that's great. I just didn't.
Yeah, that's not spelled out in the prior order, and it needs to be spelled out.
And that was my only question, whether it would delay that date or not.
Nope.
Okay. And then if you want to set up a time, like I say, as long as it would be between, well, preferably 12 and 3, between there would be my ideal time. I've got meetings before and after.
Why don't we just say 12?
Okay. Yeah, if that's okay with the sheriff, that's fine with me.
Okay. Set that up for 12 noon on the May 11th.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else from the public? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I just have one thing.
Oh,
Sorry. And Shannon and we talked about business cards last week and we kind of were running late. So if you don't mind, I had been working with Shannon to design some business cards for myself. And in talking with her, it might be a good idea for us to establish some kind of a standard for those representing Adams County, that the business card be a consistent design. And so I do have one that I think I had shown you and I had shown Stan, and I think both of you agreed that the design was acceptable. It utilizes our current logo for our county. And then other than that, just carries the basic information of name, title, and then contact information. And so what Shannon and I talked about, I didn't really know, but I guess the county does pay for business cards for some of our positions, elected officials, and I'm not exactly sure where all that's at, but it would be my recommendation that as we move forward, that if the county's going to pay for the cards, that it be consistent, be the standard that we set as the standard for Adams County business cards, and that would be what we would pay for. If somebody wants to get something that doesn't look like the standard, then they would be paying for that out of their own pocket. So
I myself have business cards that I pay for myself.
Okay.
Just FYI.
Good, very good. I guess obviously we can't control what you're gonna.
Of course, I did that that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
so.
well, and that there really wasn't a standard.
Right.
There hasn't been a standard. So I think once that standard is set, then that becomes the way as we have county officials that are out in public and meeting with other county officials or meeting with the public, it would be, I think, in our best interest to have a consistent look and feel for what that county representative looks like. So that would be, that we've just been talking about that, and I know, I don't know that takes an actual action from the commissioners, but that would be.
Would that be something, Shannon, that would be like an amendment?
Kind of
to
an
a
HR policy.
Or would it be a standalone?
Have a specific policy relating to that, but I think in the procurement policy, maybe we could add something to the effect of, if the county is purchasing this item, it has to be purchased through this vendor in this format.
Yeah, I think something needs to be stated somehow. Otherwise, it's kind of like the 4U office. It's recommended, but not everybody does it because it's not ordered. Does that make sense? And then the ones that have purchased, are we grandfathered in, or at some point, when you get this all together, do we then say,
I think it would be my preference that that everybody transitions to the standard card.
So once the county begins paying for those, the ones that have something else out there, you just go ahead and have the county pay for your new ones with the standard thing.
And again, I don't know that we need to go through a reissue, like I think Stan mentioned that he's got quite a few cards that I don't think Stan needs to go out and replace all of his cards. It's not any kind of a great design. It's just a consistent utilization of the logo that we use on our letterhead and everything else. So you get that consistent look, but,
Okay.
I don't think we want to go out and pay to reissue for everybody.
So
But
Shannon
just
can be
as
working on.
as new orders come up, as you run out of them and you're going to order
Yeah.
new ones, that would be the standard.
So I would think, and Mark can correct me if I'm wrong, but once Shannon gets something put together, Mark looks at it as county attorney, everything looks great and fine the way it's written, then you guys would approve it
come and approve that
and it
then.
would become part of that.
Very good. And we can have the design and everything at that point. But just want to tell you that's something that we've kind of been working on together. That's all.
Yeah, I guess I'd have no problem with that. The only thing I would ask that, we would have a final look at the design to see if there's anything we want to change or anything before we approve the final design.
And I think my thought was, for some of us, I'll probably put my cell phone number on there. Many people don't want their cell phone number on their card. So I think you have that plug and play ability to say, yes, include this, no, don't include that. so on and so forth. But at that point, that's kind of that would be the discretion that would be open.
I know when I got mine, Vista Print is what I got mine through, and they're a lot less expensive than going through a printing company.
Yeah.
I don't know, Shannon, what, you got business where? How did you order yours?
Vistaprint, but keep in mind that Vistaprint doesn't offer the ability to have a uniform card established with,
That's true.
with all that fun stuff.
I didn't know if people, the ones that can get those, well, you'd have to rely on them to design it properly.
Yeah, I think it's just easier if we establish a standard and have a standard vendor and that vendor then be the one. we
Yeah,
go
I
through.
agree.
It's not a significant amount of money. It's
It'd be too hard to have
relatively
everybody use the same thing.
insignificant.
You know, along with that, Steve, one thing to think about too, I know a lot of the departments have embroidered logos on their jackets, shirts, hats. Is that something that we want to kind of dive into too, as far as a consistent embroidered logo on
I think so, Stan.
department clothing?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think we want that consistent look anytime we're out in public. I would think we would want a consistent letterhead that goes when we're representing ourselves in print, when we're representing ourselves to the public with your business cards, and when we're representing ourselves through some kind of logo where that we have. I think we want that to be a consistent look.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the incentive for employees would be that as long as it's ordered in that consistency and from a certain place that would be paid for by the county then.
Yeah, I think that's, and I know you had kind of built some of that into the budget for this year to do some kind of something like that. So I appreciate that. And
Promotions,
I think that's fair that we then can establish the framework for how that consistency looks. So we'll start with the business cards, but I think that's a fair next step is to move on to any logo where that we have that it would be consistent.
Yeah, and then we'd have a grace period if you've already got your own cards. Like I ordered 1,000 cards and I think I've got about 995 left.
I hear you. I get it.
I've got quite a few left.
Yeah, I don't think we want to.
But it wasn't super expensive.
Yeah, it's not important enough. I don't think that we want to go through a reissue. It's just from here forward, let's be consistent.
Yep.
Good deal. I'll work with Shannon on that. We'll bring something back to Mark and the commissioners.
Hey, I did have a quick question for Mark. We did get a letter of proposal from the architects that have been helping us with the judicial facilities review. Is there some point where we would want to take a look at that together?
Yeah, do you want to send it to me, or did you already do that?
I'm not sure if I did. If I didn't, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, just send it. We need to take a look at that.
Okay. All right.
Is that it then, guys? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.